Winston Peters has mastered the art of virtue signalling. Almost everything he does amounts to nothing more than an empty virtue signal. The COVID inquiry, a virtue signal to anti-vaxxers. The transgender bathroom ban, a virtue signal to anti-transgender morons. The changing of government department names back to English, a virtue signal to racist idiots. Winston Peters had momentous leverage, and he wasted most of it on childish virtue signalling. Winston Peters has unleashed a torrent of virtue signalling. Policies that have no impact on the lives of the vast majority of people. Policies that exist only to excite his base. This is politics at its lowest. It is not about public service. It is not about furthering the interests of the people. It is about making sure your core voting base remains loyal until the next election. It is sad and pathetic. It is desperation of the purest form. Desperation of the embarrassing and humiliating form. Who needs a serious legacy when you can be remembered as the fool who wasted most of his leverage on virtue signalling to idiots? Winston Peters has developed an obsession with virtue signalling to racist members of the community. This has been a long-standing tradition for him. He used to spend a great deal of time demonizing Asian immigrants. Because why speak about real problems when you can fearmonger and scapegoat? A desperation for power makes such lazy rhetoric very appealing. And the efforts to virtue signal to racists have continued. Changing government department names back to English, repeatedly claiming that Maori are not indigenous, referring to Maori facial tattoos as scribble face. The desperate attempts at virtue signalling to racists are pathetic and embarrassing. You want to be angry about it, but it is just sad. A power-hungry idiot desperately trying to secure and maintain 5% of the vote. A man who has reached the peak of his power and is enjoying a slow, humiliating decline. These attempts at virtue signalling to racists, they are amoral and divisive. They lower the quality of political discourse. They are mindless and idiotic. They offer nothing of value. But most of all, they are desperate. Desperate in the most pathetic and embarrassing sense of the word. Coming from a man who would be politically irrelevant if not for the specific characteristics of the electoral system. A man who should have bowed down years ago with some semblance of legacy. A man who destroys any semblance of a legacy with increasingly pathetic performances. He thinks that he is humiliating his opponents, yet his desperate attempts to secure a drop of power is just sad. His willingness to abandon any sense of decency, morality, and credibility simply to maintain and hold on to power is just sad. His long-standing fixation on virtue signalling to people who hold disdain for his ethnicity is just sad. Winston Peters is divisive, corrupt, and idiotic. But above all else, he is embarrassing and pathetic. His gradual decline has been defined by desperation and humiliation.